All right, Heather, we have three questions that I want to ask you before we kick off this episode that will dig a little deeper into housing. But three questions. The first thing that comes to mind, let me know. Cool?
Okay, cool.
All right. So, the favorite city that you've lived in so far?
Favorite city that I lived in so far? I have to say Las Vegas.
Okay.
I've only been here 3.5 years,
Okay.
but Las Vegas has been so much fun. So I've been enjoying it for
Yeah.
sure.
Vegas. Gotta
Vegas,
love it, right?
gotta love it.
City living or country living? What would,
I'm a city girl in and
okay.
out, 100%.
All right. And if you could live anywhere outside of your favorite city, Vegas, where would it be?
I've never been there before, but I would say Paris.
All right. Never been there. Can't wait to go
No.
myself. Those are the three questions we wanted to ask you. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your answers.
Okay.
And let's get into it. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Financial Seeds podcast, where we believe that financial freedom is built one conversation at a time. I'm your host, JimDre Westbrook, and every week we are here to empower families to go from striving to thriving by having smart, practical money talks. Today's episode, we're going to deal with one of the most important financial decisions I think all of us would ever make, and that is to buy a home, right? We're going to have this conversation about, should you buy a home? Maybe should you rent, or currently just stay put where you are at. If I give you a statistic, on last year, about 4 million people bought homes. Now, if you know anything about what's going on in the world, that may be a little decline to what happened the previous year. But what that tells you is that people need somewhere to lay down. People need somewhere to build families. And today, I think I have someone that's going to help move that conversation. This is a person that does great work. This is a coworker, a friend of mine. We have today Heather Pinkston today
Thank you.
here to represent Silver State Schools Credit Union. How's
Thank
it going, Heather?
Good, good. How are you today?
I'm
Thanks for
doing
having
fine.
me.
Of course,
Appreciate it.
welcome to the pod.
Thank
So,
you.
before we jump into this home buying, renting, should we stay put conversation, I want you to tell our listeners and our viewers just a little bit about what you do here at Silver State Schools Credit Union.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I've been in the mortgage industry for almost 29 years now, and I joined Silver State Schools last year in July. I really loved the idea of coming to a local community credit union here where I could take my expertise lending in 49 different states to just focusing on the Las Vegas area and really being able to get a moving process in line to where we could service our people. And I love what Silver State Schools Credit Union stands for. And so I'm really happy to be here today talking with you.
Nice. Again, thank you for opening up your
Yeah,
schedule,
for sure.
allowing us to chop it up with you today. Why is housing one of the most important financial decisions a family can make?
Well, first of all, home ownership is giving you an opportunity to create a saving mechanism for your family where you're gaining equity by the payment you're making every month. You're providing a place for your family to be together every day. And so I think that's probably the most important piece. Another awesome part is that, owning a home, you get the benefit of a tax write-off.
Hmm.
And then you really get the opportunity to financially get in a position to possibly save and buy another home and create rental income from your first home that you've bought. So there's definitely a lot of benefits to owning a home for sure.
Yes, no, I love you talking about some of those emotional components to it, as well as financial ones. Um, a question that just comes to mind now is, what do most people get wrong when thinking about this decision?
Right. Well, I mean, there's a lot of stigmatism out there as to, renting versus owning a home. And a lot of people think that, you know, renting a home, you're throwing your money away, you're
Mhm.
paying for someone else's asset. A lot of times when you move into a rental, it may not be upgraded to your liking, and you can't really, um, upgrade and spend money on a home that
Right.
isn't yours. And if you don't like the appliances that are there, you're kind of stuck. You know what I mean? So that's one thing, but, I think that renting does have some benefits depending on what your needs are. It creates, financial flexibility, and if you're not stable in your job or you're not sure where you're going to be and where you're at in your life, sometimes renting is best for a family so they could go and be wherever they need to be when they need to be. I mean, it's not for everybody at the right time. You
Sure.
gotta be ready.
Oh yeah. No, what I'm hearing, this kind of makes me think that, before you're going into renting versus buying, there's something that I feel we need to understand, and that is there's no one size fit all answer,
Right,
right?
right,
This is family to family. Everything that you're sharing with us, where it would be great if it made sense to every single one, but we all have different family dynamics. We
right,
have different incomes. We have different financial and family goals. So I
right,
love that, you are, I think, essentially maybe taking some pressure off that family that may be thinking about, what should we do, and maybe
right,
not listening to
right.
everyone who has a family with 3 kids, right? Like,
Of
and
course.
a dog, right? Like,
Right.
it's going to be different per family.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you bring that up because especially if maybe you can't afford a home big enough for 3 kids and a
Mhm.
dog or a yard,
Right.
or really trying to determine what it is your needs are for your family and what area do you wanna live in.
Sure.
And a lot of times, maybe you're renting in an area where you're surrounded by a lot of friends and family. Your kids are in school, you might be close to work, and maybe you can't afford to own in the area you live in, for example.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things to take into consideration when you're trying to make the best decision for yourself or your family when it comes to homeownership.
I love it. And let's since we're kind of focusing on renting versus buying, um, I have a question. So
Sure.
let's. I want to go here. So I know you mentioned that for renting, you gave us a couple of reasons why it may make sense. Um, what are some of the benefits that people may overlook when it comes to um, when renting makes sense?
Um, well, the thing is too, like I just said, if you're already stable in the place that you're renting at with your family and there's going to be too much disruption, a lot of times people think that they can't buy a home because they have to have 20% down,
Sure.
for example. And that's really not the case. And we have programs available. You only need a 620 credit score. And what that means is, have you made your bills on time for the past 1 to 2 years? That could be a 620 credit score. There's programs out there where you only have to put down 3%. A lot of other programs that have down payment assistance available to you, even getting gift funds from family or taking money from your 401k. Sometimes it is cheaper and sometimes it's
Sure.
not. You just have to consider all areas involved when trying to make that decision.
At Silver State Schools Credit Union, our member exclusive rates just keep getting lower. For a limited time, you can finance a new vehicle or refinance your current vehicle for as low as 4.74% APR plus 90 days no payments. Lower your payment and drive happier. Learn more at silverstatecu.com/drive. Yeah, no, I remember when my wife and I uh, first got married, we were renting a condo, and this was kind of during that pandemic time. We got into a 3-year lease, which at the time, was like,
Right.
who does that?
Right.
But check this out for those that remember what was going on. We were locked into the rent we were paying for 3 years as everything was
It's
going
going
up.
yeah.
So it actually was a blessing in disguise for us paying the rent that we were paying, where it was just essentially a fixed cost for 3 years as we were saving our money
Money, yeah.
to buy the home that we bought 2 years ago. So renting can be a blessing. And as we're saying, it just kind of depends on those financial goals, the things that you want. It worked for us during that 3 years. It wasn't like we had to save the 20% down, but we wanted to save some money so we could get to know, you know what, we're renting and this is what it costs, but we want to save to feel what it's going to be like when we pay a mortgage
Right.
financially, which can be a lot of money if you're not prepared. But renting for that long for us,
It
just
worked out.
it was a blessing for us.
Right. Yeah. I remember when I first bought my home, I was 22 years old. I had a newborn son, and I didn't even think home ownership was even a possibility. And um, I think my first house was 125,000. Wouldn't that be great in today's world? But
Right.
um, then to rent an apartment, it was $1,500, and my mortgage was $1,200. And so, okay, well, how am I going to come up with a down payment?
Hmm.
And, I went with FHA financing, which was 3.5% down. And just being in the industry and knowing how to negotiate and structure deals correctly, I was able to get seller credits to pay for my closing cost. And the couple $1,000s I had in my account, my parents gave me the other part of it
Yeah.
as a gift.
Yeah.
And I had a home, and I was paying cheaper for a three-bedroom home than I was paying for an apartment at a young age. So, even young people can own homes too.
Sure.
Everybody can.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's not like you said, it's not for, old folks, if you will. It's not for people who have, a lot of money. Like those
Right,
things can matter. And you talked about the credit score. Like that's super important for you to be establishing your credit. That is something that we talk a lot about here
right,
on the Financial Seeds podcast. But I like to go a little deeper when it comes to buying a home. I know that you said you've been a homeowner for some time. And for let's maybe the younger buyer or the buyer who's never bought a home, but in the market, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about home ownership?
One of the biggest misconceptions is like we were talking about, like thinking you have to have a perfect credit score
Sure.
or thinking you have to have 20% down and you have to have all this money and have all your ducks in the row.
Hmm.
You don't. We all need a place to live, and we're all going to pay a price for wherever it is we choose to live. It's just knowing what's available to you in your communities and understanding, I really like the work you do with financial literacy to, our credit union members and the schools and all the work that we do to teach kids at a young age that you can be successful and become a homeowner as at a young age if you plan financially and you budget. I mean, how many bills do you think we have that we forget about?
Yeah.
Subscriptions,
Oh, yeah.
between Netflix and the Disney Channel or
Yeah.
all these little things that we forget, a magazine that's coming out of our
Yep.
account, but if you budget and pay attention, especially the younger ones, because you could, buy everything from your phone and
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't even know you have subscriptions. I
Yeah.
mean, that alone could add up to, a few $100s a month that could pay for part of a mortgage or bills within the household. So,
Oh yeah, no, I love what you're saying, and we see that as you mentioned
right,
the things that we do here with financial literacy, the biter reality, which we
right,
discussed on last season. If you don't get those kind of those foundational tools, learning how to budget, knowing what a credit
right,
score is, doing all the right things you need to do to even have the discussion we're talking about. Do you want to buy? Do you want to rent? Or, which kind of leads me to our next point, what about just staying put? Like, I know we talked a lot about renting and then benefits to, you know, kind of buying your own home. But what
right,
if you're, you know, in a house, in an apartment, in a condo? You've already done the buying, right? You've
right,
already done the renting, and there's this option to possibly make it better,
Right.
renovate, some things about that. Talk to our audience about staying put and not going somewhere else. What are some of your thoughts about that
So
third
my
option?
some of my thoughts on that is obviously it costs money to relocate and move. And again, if you are renting and you're not really sure what area you want to live in, or and my recommendations, stay away from high cost areas.
Mhm.
And if you're renting in a high cost area, then you may not want to move out of that
Sure.
area to buy a home. Um, I'm seeing a lot of people in the market today leaning towards townhomes and condos,
Okay.
low maintenance yards, things like that. You
Mhm.
can get more for your buck that way. But sometimes it does make sense just to save some money, and do some budgeting and plan just the way that you and your wife did. Plan for your future, plan for those things that you want to do and do it successfully. So you're not putting yourself in a position that you can't get out of. But one benefit to owning a home too is that your payment is always going to be your payment.
Yeah.
It's
Go ahead.
never going to change.
Yes.
And if you refinance, maybe you can lower that payment. Or if you sell your home, you can make a profit from that ownership as well. So there's definitely some benefits on both sides for sure.
No, I love that. I think of my parents, they've stayed put for decades. Like the house back home in Saginaw, Michigan. Shout out Sag Nasty. It's been a place where, they've had it even before I was born. And they've always had dreams to, buy a
Yeah.
new home, but they just fixed up the one that, I was raised in, and they're still there today, still doing renovations, still doing things to it, because
Yeah.
there's an emotional
Of
attachment, but
course.
then also I think a financial component too, where to the point you say your payment's your payment, that
Yeah.
they've probably been locked into a situation where they're comfortable. This is what it is. And yeah, like I said, whenever I go home, it's the same home, but looks better.
Right. Exactly.
My room is now a closet. It's my mom's closet. But no, I definitely get where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, my parents, I'm from Modesto, California. What's up, Motown? But my parents are still in their home for over 25 years as well. And so they did the same thing that your parents do,
Yeah.
and it's nice to have mature trees and
Yeah.
a nice neighborhood. And
Hmm.
I think they renovated that place 4 different times by now. So, same thing. But I do get that as well. Like sometimes it makes sense, but it's definitely beneficial to outweigh both sides
Mhm.
when you're trying to make a big decision like home ownership. But we're here to help everybody at Silver State Schools Credit Union. You want to own a home? Come to the mortgage department and see my team. We'll help you get there. We'll even help you plan for it if you need some help too. So
Oh yeah, we got you. Real quick, if you're listening to this and thinking, students need to hear this, we got you. At Silver State Schools Credit Union, we offer free K through 12 financial literacy workshops and hands-on experiences that help students understand money in real life. Tap in with us online or inside the branch and bring it to your school. All right, let's get back into the episode. So, all right, Heather, we're going to close with our final segment. We
okay.
like to call it our seeds of wisdom.
Okay.
So, I want you to, leave the people with a little something, something that they can take away and help them in their journey when they're deciding if they want to rent, if they want to buy, or stay put. So, what's that one takeaway that you can give them that can, give them a little bit of guidance on what they should do right now?
Well, I think it's important to understand what is available to you and what you can do and what your financial long term goals are in order to take care of your family. Maybe you're planning for education for your children, or where it is you want to be, where do you want to live. But really understanding what you can qualify for so you know what you have to work towards, or maybe it's not that far off as you thought it was going to be. For example, I mean, here in Las Vegas, we're definitely a hospitality town, and there's people that have multiple jobs.
Yeah.
But if you have a 2-year work history, or you're just getting out of school and you have a stable salary, there's probably a lot you can qualify for. So my suggestion would be educate yourself and make yourself aware of what's out there available to you. There's a lot of different programs, like I said, a lot of down payment assistant programs that are out there for first-time home buyers. Or even if you're not a first-time home buyer, there's still a lot of programs out there that can help you get to where you want to be. So that would be my best advice, is to understand exactly what's available to you. And if you have a 2-year work history, you're probably going to qualify for a mortgage loan. So
Love it. That's good. That's good. That's good. One thing that, as you were saying, that I want to share with everyone is, don't rush into a housing decision.
Right.
All the things that Heather is saying, we feel like we have to take the next step, right? If you don't know everything that you want to do, that entire plan, that's okay. We want you to get that next step right.
Right.
So the right move is the one that puts you in a position to grow, not just today, but over time, especially to Heather's point that talked about education. If you are a parent and you are raising a family, again, you can't just think about what's good for you. You have to
Right.
think about your entire family. So that may be renting to you. That may be buying to you. And sometimes that's just chilling in the cut, right? AKA just chilling at home and just strengthening your foundation. So we want you to take your time, ask the questions like Heather was suggesting to see what you may qualify for, and make the decision that fits your life, not anyone else's timeline. All right, Heather,
Thank
we're
you.
done. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
We know that you're super busy holding it down,
Thank
mortgage,
you.
and doing a lot of things that not just help what we do here at the credit
Right.
union, but help our community. So
Thank
once
you.
again, we thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. And don't you just leave yet. We want you to do everything that we say at the end of every episode. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, do all of the things to make sure that we keep doing our thing here at the Financial Seeds podcast. If you are on social media, please follow us on all our accounts and share this episode with anybody who may be thinking about renting, buying, staying put. You know someone who needs this. Please share this episode with them. Until next time, my name is JimDre. Keep planting those seeds.
The Financial Seeds podcast is powered by Silver State Schools Credit Union, hosted by JimDre Westbrook, co-hosted by Brianna Chavez, produced by Jackie Martin, and recorded in the Scott A. Arkhills production studio. The Financial Seeds podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as financial, legal, or tax advice. All opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Silver State Schools Credit Union. Listeners should consult with a qualified financial professional for advice specific to their individual situation.